Welcome back to the Your Girl Yaz podcast, the podcast to listen to if you're a female entrepreneur who's ready to attract more fun, more money, success, friendships, and amazing clients into your business. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope I can add some more positivity into your day in this episode. Hello girls, welcome back to another episode. Today I've got a very, very special guest on, and I'm so happy we were able to record this episode before I go travelling. I have on, I always want to call her Lydia fucking Killion because she's
I don't mind that at all. That's what I say to myself when I'm doing my affirmations. That's perfect.
perfect intro. Her name is Get a Fucking Life Babe on TikTok and Instagram. She is I would say like a manifestation expert. She really is incredible in the space online, like creating content and just teaching people how to manifest in an easy way, in a way that's not gonna, take up your whole life. And I just feel like she's had such a big impact on my journey and even me as a mindset coach. It's so inspiring finding people you really relate to, and Lydia is one of those people. So welcome on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love the fact that we're doing this today. And
Yeah.
we've got it in before Christmas. I love it.
Yeah, we've even got matching nails if you are watching the video. We both got them done this morning.
Autumn nails.
Oh, well, I wanted to have Lydia on a few reasons to talk about, how to help people really manifest. I know a lot of you girls that listen, you run businesses or you're looking at growing your mindset, and she just makes things so special, so easy. And I just generally really wanted to have her on. And I first feel like it would be really nice for Lydia to introduce herself and sort of share a bit about her story, and then we will dive in deep.
So, I have been manifesting since I was 15. I got given the book The Secret just before my 16th birthday. My grandma had just passed away, and my auntie brought it over from Ireland. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. So, I've been consciously manifesting for over half my life now. Like, I'm 31, so a long, long time. But in the past few years, it's really clicked with the self-concept stuff. So I feel like that's my personal mission now. So I've been coaching for 8 years, and in the past like 2 to 3, I've just been hell-bent on teaching everybody how to change their self-concept, how to live their best life, how to get a fucking life, babe, and just create a life that we're obsessed with, because life's too short. So I'm just really, really passionate about teaching women, especially, but everybody, that we can have what we want, we can be who we want, and we can love ourselves along the way. And I'm just obsessed with it.
Yeah, and even what you said there, I feel like it's so nice that you open it up to everyone, because in this space, even my world, it's very girly, but it's like, well,
Yeah.
anyone can do this. Like, I think that's what I love about you and your work, is you make it so accessible, and it's not like this just one bubble of people that can do it. It's like everyone.
Yeah.
And incredible that you've been doing this 8 years now. Like, I feel like it's so nice. It feels like having a bit of an OG on.
Yeah, it's going to be 9 years next year, which just sounds crazy. Oh no, it's 8 years next. The girl math is not mathing. It's 8 years. Anyway, it's a bloody long time. And I feel like when I first started out, it wasn't cool to be a manifestation coach. It wasn't cool to be a mindset coach. Like, no celebs were talking about it then. If they were, it was on YouTube. You had to dig for the celeb kind of stuff about it. Now you can go on to PLT and you can get 444 t-shirts, and angel numbers are everywhere. So I feel like I've watched this transition over that 8-year period of everybody kind of being like, what the hell is manifestation?
Yeah.
To dropping it in every sentence now. So I feel like now it's really fun time to be in the industry because everyone gets it.
Yeah. And I just feel like going back to you 8 years ago, like, what made you actually decide that I'm going to pursue this, or I'm going to actually learn about this? Because going back then, when people weren't doing that, it must have been a bit scary to be like, actually, I'm going to just do something so different.
Do you know what? I always toy with this because I had a little break in that 8 years and I came back to it. And this time round, I am having to deal with like subconscious fears of being seen and showing up a lot more. Since my TikToks blew up, I'm like having to deal with new levels, new devils all the time.
Yeah.
And I look back and I think, oh my God, I was 23 when I started this, 24. And I just used to go on Facebook Live and chat shit about the universe for half an hour. And I didn't care. And I just showed up every single day and I didn't care. And I look back and think, that was so brave. That was
Yeah.
so brave to do that. So I think back then, no, you're young and you've just got the balls to do it. But what really, I had someone in my life at the time who asked me, what do I want to be when I grow up, kind of thing. And I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a mindset coach. And they were like, what? I was like, I know. I said, I read the book The Secret when I was 16, 15, 16, and I knew instantly from the first couple of pages, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to help people feel better about themselves. I want to give people their control back. I want to put the power back in their hands. I knew from the minute I read that book, I wanted to do that growing up. And I just thought I'd have to be 40, wearing a grey suit,
Yeah.
sat in an office, loads of life experience. And I think that's why I started my own businesses, because I think in my head I thought, well, if because I had a spray tanning business before, I had a lash business, I used to sell things on eBay. So I thought, oh, if I have all this business experience, then people will listen to me.
Mm.
So when I was like 22, 23, somebody asked me, because this was like just obviously before I got into coaching and I started figuring out how to do it. And I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be a mindset coach. And they were like, well, why don't you do it now? And I was like, I can't do it now. I'm too young. And they were like, well, I'm listening to you. And I just had like this, the wheels started turning then. And then I went on this journey to figure out how to do it online. And then I had a look and I realised there were actually women, not quite as young as I was then, but late 20s, they were coaching people and they were online. Amanda Francis was one of the first coaches I saw, and she was fabulous. And I think she was in Tulum at the time. And she was talking about working off a laptop and changing women's lives. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. So that was it for me. So it was a little bit of divine timing. And so I feel like questions are so powerful. Tony Robbins always talks about this, like the questions people ask you or that you ask yourself are really powerful. And that question just got the wheels turning in my head.
I love that answer so much because I can relate. Like I was 22 in Australia. I was like a backpacker when I got sent a mindset coaching course from my friend, and she was like, "You'd be really good at this." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, would people take me seriously though?" Like I'm 22, I have a backpack and a passport, and that's about it.
I
But
love that. That's all you need.
exactly. It was like I was away from any noise and like anyone from home and things like that. And it's like, imagine if we just ignored that, like the fact that you showed up and you did that at 22, 23. Like it's so powerful and it's such an inspiring example of like even looking at your TikTok, or my personal favorite is your podcast, to be honest. Like I love listening to your podcast because it's
Do you know, my personal favourite is my podcast at the minute. I love my podcast. I feel like that's my focus for 2025 in terms of content. Because I feel like there's always like a main focus, isn't there? And then everything else you're kind of managing.
yeah.
And I love my podcast. I love the fact I can just ramble on for half an hour and people listen to me.
It's brilliant though. I just think you have such a like fun approach to the manifestation world, but also a very like your name in your Instagram, manifestation big sister. Like it's just
Yeah.
advice that actually like we really need to hear, not fluffy, not like, you know, a lot of the world can feel a little bit like a bit fluffy or a bit like here's how you do this when it's like you speak
Yeah.
truths. So talking about your self concept challenge and what you're so passionate about, like I would love you to sort of explain that because I know a lot of people, and I didn't actually know before you what a self concept, like what self concept was.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
So obviously in The Secret and things like that, they say, believe, receive. So I knew your beliefs shaped your reality. And even, 8 years ago, I was telling people your beliefs are what are important. And I've been doing belief work for 8 years with people and with clients and helping them to get their goals. But the self concept is like more about us. So instead of what we believe about money, instead of what we believe about relationships, whatever, it's more, instead of believing I'm good at making money,
Yeah.
no, actually, let me take that back. Instead of believing, like saying money comes easily to me, we're going to say, I deserve to make money.
Hmm.
I'm so capable of it. It's all about that I feel. And it's really rewiring that cognitive system within us that is saying that we can't have it, we don't deserve it. Because we've all got stuff like that going on. And, whether it's from community, whether it's from ex boyfriends, whether it's from parents and siblings, whatever, it's not a blame game, but we get these beliefs as we're growing up that we can't do things and we're not worthy and we're not good enough. And it's unpinning all of those so you can just live in your full capability. Because when you are in that state, you can manifest anything. Like you really become this little power ball of energy, and you can have a good concept of other things. So you can have a good money mindset, you can have a good relationship mindset, but you can still not feel worthy of these things. And manifestation used to feel really hard for me.
Hmm.
So I would feel like I was constantly trying to manifest a specific amount of money in the business every single month. And I'd get it, but it felt hard. It felt like a challenge. It felt like something I was having to try to do every single month. And same with a lot of the goals. And then when I just shifted my self concept, it was just autopilot.
Mm.
Everything just started working on autopilot. And it was hard for me because my brain's naturally a bitch. My brain doesn't. I need to stop affirming that, but it's true. You know, I've been on antidepressants, really struggled with mental health in the past.
Mhm.
So my brain naturally is fighting against me. So it took a little while for me to kind of figure out self concept. And then when I did, I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to actually love yourself and know that you can do it. And it was just amazing.
Oh,
It
that's
was really, really powerful. And that's why I created a 2 week self-concept challenge for myself, purely because I'd gathered up all this information over the years of how to do it. I just wasn't applying it. So I was like, I'm on a time crunch. I need to move to Ibiza on my laptop in 3 months.
what
Like,
was making
I was
you
like,
want to go to Ibiza, by the
this
way? Because I just love this.
So I did a season when I was 25, and I've always regretted how it went because I went kind of still in breakup mode, pining over somebody, doing like that kind of I'm going to move to Ibiza and I'm going to show him, and I still spent the whole summer upset. So it was like a facade,
Yeah.
and I came back and my mum was like, "You're still crying over him." I was like,
Oh.
yes. So I didn't use the summer to go fully live my life.
Yeah.
And so when it came to turning 30, I was like, this is my present to myself. I'm doing a season. I'm doing a season. And it was just so stupid. And it was just fixated in my mind for years. Like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do it properly.
Mhm.
And it was amazing because my TikTok had already grown quite a lot before I did Ibiza. But the minute I landed, that's when my money boomed, and it was just that's when my business really and for the first time ever in the past 10 years, I really just put me in the business first. I was like
Mhm.
protective over it, and everything's just been amazing ever since then.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, why do you feel like it boomed when you got to Ibiza?
I'd been doing the programming work. So I'd
Yeah.
done the self concept challenge in the March,
Mhm.
and I'd been putting in the legwork, let's say like the subconscious legwork.
Mhm.
And so I feel like by the time I got to Ibiza, I had the opportunity to just get a life, babe, and do all of the other things. And I was inspired. You know, you're waking up every single day and you've got a beach in front of you,
Yeah.
and you're having fun all the time, and there's possibilities everywhere for you to meet people, and it's just a really fun, expansive environment to grow a business. And it was just wonderful, and I just had all the time in the world to really focus on that. And
Mm.
I think I had it. I think because I've been working in self concept and I've been doing all this visioning work, I'm like, no, this is just it. I know this is what's going to be the making of the business.
The reason I'm so excited by all of this, right, is like, girl, same from a personal perspective. I've been doing Lydia's self concept challenge. I'm on week 2 right now, and I'm having a little bit of a like reset, let's say, with my business where I'm fully like shutting the doors for a few weeks. I'm like fully focusing on myself, and like I decided when I started her self concept challenge that I was gonna go into a bit of a bubble. All the time that I've been spending creating through the year and like releasing loads of things, I was going to really tune into my energy. And I have been doing it for the last 2 weeks and listening to my sleep affirmations and
I
doing
love
the inner
that.
work. But the reason this is so exciting is I'm just about to move to Thailand. So I can
I knew you were going to say that.
so I can be the perfect guinea pig example of,
Perfect.
of what's about to happen, because I truly believe that I trust that everything is going to open again. Like the doors are going to open. But I do feel like, because we feel like such pumping machines sometimes, if you're in the online world or you're working, like it feels like there isn't a shut off. And I just think it's such a special chance to give yourself the gift of like 2 weeks where you actually decide, no, I'm actually going to invest some time and energy into myself. So I guess, what advice would you give to someone that could maybe relate to this sort of story, or actually would like to give themselves a bit more time but is struggling to like switch that off, or struggling to, let's say, get off the horse when they're riding so fast?
I am a really big believer in lazy girl manifestation.
I love
So I have invested that I'm talking thousands in coaches and programs in the past. And I used to have a coach, and she was fucking amazing, and she really changed my life. But she would make me do mindset 3 times a day,
it. Mhm.
like journaling for an hour or two. And I had the time to do it, luckily, but that's extensive and it's a lot. And it also makes you very hyper conscious of the manifestations and use. But I remember I had another coach after that. This is when I was in like coach mode all the time.
Yeah.
Um, like I had another coach after that, and he was like, there's a life outside of your house, and I was like, oh yeah. And so I feel like I've had to like tie all of that into this 2 week concept challenge, because I want you to have, a lot of the 2 week self concept challenge is like questions, and the reframing exercises. That is like my favorite exercise, and I think it's so powerful for shifting your internal state and changing your perspective
Mhm.
on the old story. But then I want you to go have fun. I want you to go enjoy the rest of the day. So that's why I created the 2 week self concept challenge, because I think if you can just give yourself 10 minutes to half an hour a day for 2 weeks, that's not a lot I'm really asking of you.
Mhm.
And especially if you can get on with sleep affirmations, even better. There are other ways, obviously, in the challenge that you can get these affirmations in. But I used to tell myself, whenever I was in a rut, I used to give myself 2 weeks. Even before this challenge, I always used to give myself like a 2 week turnaround.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I feel shit now. Or, if I'd put a bit of weight on over Christmas or whatever, I'd be like, okay, 2 weeks. We can shift this, we can get this ball rolling in 2 weeks. And I feel like that's a really nice time frame, because it's not so much pressure that it's tomorrow,
Mhm.
but it's not as long as a month. So it feels like it's very near in the future, but it's not as much pressure as having it all figured out tomorrow. So I think if you can give yourself 2 weeks, when I first did this challenge, because this is the reason why I created it for you all, because I did it for myself in March 2023, and I put it all together, and within 3 months everything had manifested. Like, my business was earning, I don't really talk about money a lot on my socials, because I don't think it's like the way to market to people, but obviously you are a business girly,
Yeah.
we have business girly followers.
Yeah.
My business at the time, it was so funny because today marks 2 years since my first viral video blew up.
Wow.
It came up on my TikTok this morning, and that's what catapulted me to 10,000 followers. And then that's what kind of started getting the income rolling in with the business this time round, because like I said, I had a break within the 8 years. So then the pandemic happened after my break, and then my best friend died. So I started it all again about 2.5 years ago. And March 2023, I think I'd earned about £500 that month. So I knew, okay, the money's coming, it's going to work. By May, I think I'd hit 4 grand, and then June and July were like 5 grand months. So like I'd
Mm.
10x my whole income from that 2 week self concept challenge. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because it was just from sitting down and saying, listen, your life's going to start in May. You want this thing in May. You're going to have to start thinking like it.
Mhm.
I was like, Lydia, how you're thinking right now, it's all right. TikTok's growing and there's some money coming in, but it's not where it needs to be.
Mhm.
You need to shift. You need to make this internal shift. Start thinking like the version of you that's living their life in Ibiza in May off this laptop, doing the business, changing people's lives as well, and helping people and creating sick content. You need to start thinking like it. And that 2 weeks changed my whole life. So that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it doesn't have to take that long. You don't have to do a 6 month course. Like, they're great, and they're great for support, and I'm sure I'll be in one again one day and stuff like that. But you just need that little 2 week time frame to really catapult yourself.
Yeah, and honestly, it's so crazy, isn't it? Like, even me, like having sessions with all of the girls and stuff, like it's crazy what we can do in an hour sometimes. Of actually,
Yeah.
it's not just the time; it's like getting someone to really believe in themselves again. Because you could have all the strategies, like you could have, I've done loads of courses to learn how to do podcasts and things like that. But if I was too scared to have started the podcast or made that first move or didn't believe in myself, it wouldn't have happened. So I do think,
100%.
yeah. And I think as well, like, whatever stage you get to, there's just going to be new challenges, new limiting beliefs, like new things you have to recognize about yourself. And I think that's why the self concept we're literally doing, I just love it. It's so good because it just helps you get really honest with yourself about your limiting beliefs again. And I just think we need to do that, like you said, all the time, every week, looking at, okay, this week, what has been limiting me this week? How could I show up better for myself? And I just think it's an amazing way to do that. Now, I was going to ask, like, how has this changed your life?
It's changed it in every single way. Like, even before I did the self concept work, I couldn't imagine myself having a boyfriend. I'd been single for 7, 8 years. So even my love life, like, that's where I want it to be now. I manifested Brad in May. I'd scripted a week before, funnily enough, about how I'd met this guy and we didn't stop dancing all night, and I met him at a rave. We didn't stop dancing all night. And he's wonderful and he's lovely. And I never would have seen that for myself before self concept work, because my self concept when it came to men was in the gutter.
Mhm.
And so that's what I was attracting in, or my boundaries would be really poor. So sometimes it wasn't even their fault. I was
Yeah.
accepting and I was letting people walk all over me. So it changed that. It changed the way I view my body. Like before, if I'd had a McDonald's, I'm going to piss myself off for 2 days. I'm going to beat myself up. It just allowed that self concept work allows you to be a lot more compassionate
Mhm.
and a lot more forgiving of yourself and just kind of easy breezy. Like you really do step into that soft life.
Mhm.
Like I'm a very masculine kind of alpha female, and I love that about myself. I'm go getting, driven, whatever. But I've always struggled with the softer side, and I feel like the self concept just brought that in, that softer side, because I've relaxed a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then obviously it allowed me to move to Ibiza. It allowed me. I've just manifested the car that I want, so I'm like, yes. Um, that came in yesterday, so hopefully getting it within the next month. And what else? Everything's just like starting to tick off the visual, like traveling every single month. So I had 6 months this year where I was like on a holiday every single month, and it didn't phase me. Like it didn't, I wasn't struggling. I wasn't thinking, how am I going to afford this? And just creating that life of travel, like everything has come from the self concept work. Because, like you said, when you work on your limiting beliefs, I think a lot of people think if I say affirmations all day, that's what's going to do it. And that's why in the 2 week self concept challenge, I teach you how to word the affirmations so they're specific to you. Because, say, for example, if you're trying to manifest 10K months, and you're like, I make 10K month, I make 10K month, and your brain's going, you're a liar, you're a liar. And what's actually blocking you is you feel like making 10K month is gonna like emasculate your boyfriend
Yeah.
and he's gonna leave you if you make 10K months. You're not manifesting that. If you've got fears around it, if you've got subconscious like limiting beliefs around it, you're going to really struggle. So if you start affirming, it is safe for me to have money, everybody loves that I've got money, it benefits those around me to have 10K months, then you're going to start manifesting it in, because you've worked on the actual problem that needs to be addressed, rather than saying a blanket affirmation for something.
Yeah. And I just fuck yeah to that. I generally do just agree with everything you're saying. I just think it is so powerful when you decide to open up your mind to all of this stuff. Like, I think a lot of us, we carry around so many limiting beliefs that you've just
You
generally didn't
do.
realize that you have. Like, I can really relate to a lot of your story around sort of my boundaries, guys, like just like
It's always guys.
no, it's always guys, isn't it? And like, the last 2 years I've been fully like single, like proper blocked
Yeah.
myself off. And then recently I've decided like I proper open myself up again, and like it's
Love
just been
that.
crazy like what ends up happening, which I'm sure I'll talk about at some point. But similar, like going to stuff, I went to a rave in Amsterdam and like all of these different things.
Yeah,
It's so
I'm going to
funny.
Amsterdam next week.
Oh my gosh, you'll have the best time.
I can't wait. He surprised. This was me this time last year. I was scripting about, I just want to go to Amsterdam with a guy. Da, da, da. He brought him me for Christmas, surprised me he told me in September, he was like, we're going to Amsterdam for Christmas, for Boxing Day. This is your Christmas present. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I was manifesting. So I love that you met someone in a rave in Amsterdam. I love
Honestly,
that.
I feel like
That is so perfectly aligned. I can't describe it.
it's honestly such a funny full circle how this is all happening, because even this weekend, I don't know if I'll see if I want Leah to like cry.
You can cut it out if you want to.
But imagine this weekend, he's coming to London. He's from Birmingham, and he's
So is Brad.
he's like a DJ.
Oh my God, his name's not called Brad, is it?
No, he's called Zach. But
Let-
how funny is
Let's
it?
just double check.
I
Imagine.
honestly imagine we're like manifesting the same guy.
We're having this really positive conversation, and then we end up on that Facebook page. We're seeing the same guy.
Imagine. So listen to this
Universe, I'm
now.
joking. Universe, I'm joking.
Like, it's so funny because obviously I'm going away, so I tried to shut it down, and he was like, "No, I'm not having it. Like, you're not leaving my life."
Oh, I love
And
that.
then this weekend he's coming to London. He won't tell me anything, but this morning he sent me full on like, he was like, "Okay, like this is where you need to be at 10 in the morning. This is everything you need to pack," because obviously I've got no idea what I'm doing. And he was like, "Right,
That
this
is
is what you need.
adorable.
This is what we're doing. Just be there. You're all good." So it is really funny because I had like a big limiting belief that I didn't believe I'd never seen a healthy relationship like around me
Yeah.
growing up, so I just didn't believe I'd get one. And it's just so funny that when you open yourself up to like you just get really honest with yourself what ends up
Yeah, you
happening
do.
and what you can attract. And it's just so empowering, I think, from a business perspective. You know, you go on Instagram if you're a business girly right now and you see that, you know, everyone's hitting these goals, or you see so much success, you're wondering why it's not happening for you. And it's like you're not getting honest with yourself. You're spending your time consuming and looking, and it's like, well, how about if you actually decided, well, I'm going to have 2 weeks where all this energy I'm spending scrolling, I'm going to invest into myself. Like 2025, Lydia, what advice would you be giving girls?
Go all in on yourself. Like, you are your biggest investment. Like, I have just described boyfriend, Ibiza, holidays, money, da, da, da. None of that is even could ever amount to the person I am now and how I feel about myself
Mhm.
and my regulated nervous system. Like, I'm a calm girl. Don't get me wrong, I'm still an anxious girly, like we're recovering.
Mhm.
But I don't this is what I talk to my clients about a lot. When you build that security within yourself, because I was an anxious attachment style girly, and that doesn't just apply for relationships. You get anxious with money, you get anxious with things going right, and you're like, oh my God, is this gonna last? And when you build that security within yourself, the level of calm I feel on a daily basis is
Yeah.
the best gift I've ever given myself. Like, that's the best thing that's ever come out of the challenge, is the person I am now and the confidence I have and the certainty I have. And not like I've always been confident. I'm very like chatty yapper
Yeah.
kind of girl. Like, I don't struggle with outward confidence, but inward confidence, and that feeling not good enough, feeling like a imposter and stuff like that. That, don't get me wrong, it still surfaces sometimes, but that's the biggest thing from doing that challenge. So whether you do my challenge, whether you do somebody else's, whether you just go all in from the stuff on our podcasts or from our pages, just go all in on yourself. Just focus all on yourself, because you are the biggest gift.
Mhm.
You are your biggest investment.
Mhm.
Like, your business is an extension of you. So if you pour into you, it's gonna pour out into the business. Like, you think you need a system and a strategy, and you don't. Like, I have no system, no strategy,
Mhm.
and I've created this wonderful business. And I'm not saying they wouldn't scale my business and make it even more massive, but your mindset and your inner world has to come first. So when you pour into that, your relationship's going to benefit, your friendships, everything stems from you.
Mhm.
So just pour all into you. That would be my advice in 2025.
Yes, because I think people think it's like a secret. Like when people say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky," or you know, how cool that you get to go off to Thailand. It's like, well, no, I've actually really put in the work to get myself to this point. Like it doesn't happen
Yeah.
overnight. A lot of these girls that you see that you think, "Oh, they're just amazing." It's like, well, no, they've probably spent years and time just,
Years.
yeah, years
Yeah. Years.
learning. We're not trying to
I
scare
can,
you.
I can say it from experience.
But when you get started on this journey, it's like you could view it as, oh my gosh, years, but then it's like there's no end point to your success. Like you could
There
spend,
isn't.
yeah, like you could spend 30 years building a career. And I heard a story yesterday, and then they've just been bankrupt by Meta or like made redundant.
Oh
Imagine if
no.
you spent 30 years working with
Yeah.
yourself. Like, where do you feel like you'll be?
100. Oh my God. I want to be on TV acting. I want to be presenting. Like, that's where my brain goes. And I think like 30 years. I think I'm gonna be one of those like Peggy Mitchell types on TV. Like,
No, I
oh, she used to be a mindset coach. Now she's in the Queen Vic.
love it.
But honestly, it's the best thing ever. And you are so right. It's so easy to look at somebody on Instagram and say, oh, it panned out really well for them. Like, my boyfriend will say, oh, you've got the life of luxury, you have. I'm like, listen, babes, you was not here when I was grieving Taylor and picking myself up out of bed every day.
Mhm.
You weren't here when I was working 9 till 9 in lashes and breaking my back for years on end. You weren't here when my business was skin and I was struggling and I couldn't get in clients and da da da. You've met me at a very nice time.
Yeah,
I've built this life of luxury and I'm not going to apologise for it. And he's clearly joking, don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
I'm like, listen, you have not seen the come up.
Mhm.
So don't just judge me by what my life is now. It's not been this easy.
100%. I think it's so real, like to just sit here and actually talk about the harder parts. Like, you know, I think it's, and I think the overnight success sort of thing as well. Like,
It doesn't
yeah,
exist.
it does not exist, does it? I think you're such a good example of that.
And I think as well, like, even the overnight successes you see on TikTok, like, if they truly are an overnight success, it doesn't really last.
Hmm.
But the people that have built it up, like Stormzy said it in a, I love Stormzy. He said it in a song, and it's like, man is saying I came up too quick. Like, check out the YouTube. I was putting in a graveyard shift. Like, people have been putting in the work. You just haven't seen it because it wasn't accessible then, because no one, if no one knew who you were, how did they see the legwork you put in? There's
Exactly.
a phrase and I think it says it takes 10 years to be an overnight success, and it's so true.
Yeah.
It is so true.
I honestly,
I mean, actually, let's change the assumption on that. Let's change the self concept on that.
yeah.
Doesn't take 10 years, can take as long as you want. Takes 2 weeks, 2 weeks self concept challenge.
2 weeks.
But uh,
Two.
but there is a lot of legwork that you don't see behind the scenes. Even people with abs and an amazing body, and you go, oh, it's all right for them. No,
Mhm.
they aren't eating the McDonald's I'm eating. They're in the gym at 6:30 and I'm not. Like, they're putting in a different level of life that I'm putting into the gym.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to sit there and think somebody's got it easy, because Instagram especially makes it look easy,
Mhm.
because you're just seeing a snippet. You're not seeing the hard work.
Yeah, and I just think as well, when we're talking about the nervous system and like lazy girl manifesting, I think it's the best way. Like, even from a girl sat here that's done a lot of different courses and things, it's like, oh, I just want it to be easier for everyone running
Yeah.
businesses, because you're constantly getting overwhelmed with like courses, different things you should do. And it's like, actually give yourself the gift of making these things easy in your life. Like, I used to be like 5 a.m. gym, go 3 trains to go work in London in sales, work all day from the age of like 16. And like,
Wow.
I had this perception of success that it was like, yeah, I have to work harder than everyone else. I have to like, be that person that's, up at the crack of dawn. But actually, now I get up at 8 sometimes. I'm just chilling. Like, I'll do my self concept challenge the last 10
Yeah.
weeks.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah. And
And I think as well, like, our view of success is masculine. Like, it is very, we base it on what men, and that's a different topic for a different day. I'm not getting into that, like, different subject. But I love my soft girl life now. I was always taught I was lazy growing up, because I'm not a morning person
Mhm.
at all. So I've built a life where I don't have to get up in the morning. So if somebody's like, oh, you don't get up till 10, I'm like, yeah, I don't have to. Like, what's the point in being my own boss if I'm going to get up at 7 when I don't want to?
Yeah.
I'm naturally a night owl. I will stay up till 2 working.
Hmm.
So I'm naturally going to get up 8 hours after that. Duh. Like, I'm just like, but it's like, I think that's a big part of being a business owner as well, and why it's so important to work on your self worth, because we are so used to other people defining it for us with the systems that are in place. Even if you had a career, your boss is determining your salary.
Hmm.
Your boss is telling you how much you're worth. Your job is telling you how much you're worth. So as a business owner, you have to say, oh no, actually I'm worth X amount a month. I'm worth this amount for my coaching package, or for my business or my product. And that takes a lot of inner work, because we're not used to that. And that's why self concept is so important for business, because you have to stand in that worth before anyone else does.
Hmm.
You have to be sold on you. And I feel like I really went on a tangent there.
No, I'm just I'm like,
But we get, my point is, we get to define success for us, and we get to redefine it. There's never been a better time on the planet for us girlies to be in business.
it's
And so why don't we make the rules for ourselves and have a soft life? Or we can have a hard life. People, if I've got friends that love getting up at 5 a.m. for the gym, and they love that, and that's them. I'm going to do something different, and they don't have to do what I'm doing. So it's like creating it for you and what you want to do.
yeah, I honestly just want everyone to just throw this bullshit rule book in the bin that
Yeah.
we're all like trying to strive for, and actually decide,
Yeah.
well, what's my rule book? Like, what do I actually want for the first time? And I think that's why, like, the self concept challenge is a really good 2 week like reset for you to actually decide. Like, it talks about main character energy. Like, what main character do you want to be in your life? Like, when I think of myself and I think of like the best version of me in this next chapter, it will probably change when I come back to England and want to live my bougie England life. But like, when I had this coach that we just didn't align, right? And he kept saying to me, what's your dream car? And I was like, you're barking up the wrong tree, because I want to go be a hippie in Thailand riding around on my bike.
Yeah, that's what I can be like. I'm bordered between the both. Nice things, and just give me a beach
Oh,
and chuck my phone in the
honestly.
sea. Like,
And then he was like, okay, what's your dream bike? Like a Vespa? And I'm like, do you see any Vespas in Thailand, babes? Like, you just need to understand that for me, like, my dream life at the next stage is riding around, having freedom, like being able to sit coconuts on the beach, get a massage, like fulfill my clients, be able to build this next exciting stage of my business and feel really empowered. I love wearing creams, like beiges, just nice, high quality outfits. I'm not going to be a backpacker this time. I'm living my bougie lifestyle over
Yes.
there.
I love that you
So,
said that, because my friend took me to Bali when I was just started my coaching business, actually. So
um,
it's like, that was like my big I did it moment. But I'm not a backpacker, I'm
no.
a princess. And I brought this big massive suitcase and I didn't realise we were travelling every 2 days, and I was like, Liam, I don't want to do it this way.
I cope.
So now when I go places, I'm like my friend, she loves hostels. Like, she is a
Yeah.
traveller girly and she loves hostels. I'm like, babes, I'm not doing it. I'm 31. I've got the money. I'm not spending money in a hostel when I can have a nice bed to myself.
Yeah. And it's so funny. It's just like, me a few years ago, I would have never dreamed of this. But yeah, we're saying like we're like going 2 weeks, 10 years. But it's like actually the stage in the middle as well is so exciting. And I just
Yeah,
feel like
it is.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just feel so excited sat here talking to you, and it's just so empowering that there's
How long are you going to Thailand for?
well, I'm going traveling for 8 months.
Love that.
So I'll be back because I'm doing a retreat for girls running businesses next September. And even that, like I booked the most bougie villa because I was like, I don't care. The girls all deserve luxury, and when you are
Yeah.
in that, like, if you embody that energy, if you put yourself in those environments, it's an expensive retreat, but all the girls I know are going to get like 10 times their investment from just being in that energy. So, what would your opinion be on like energy and surrounding yourself and your like sort of environment? Because I feel like you're good.
So energy is so important. Energy is so important. Like, the environment you have, and I think this is why traveling is going to be the making of you, because, and I know you've done it before, but I mean, like, with the business,
Yeah.
because as creatives, our environment is important. And we might not be sitting there painting art, but we are creating something, we're creating content. And I know I've really struggled the past 2 months, because I had like this thing where I was going on holiday every single month, and like I was like, boom, 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 I know what to say, I know what to write, I know what to do. And then the last 2 months I've not been away, and I'm like, oh my God, like,
Hmm.
I feel right. I've got writer's block, I've got creative block. And when you wake up, I mean, I know not everyone, I'm going to go on to like home life in a minute, but like you waking up in Thailand and being on the beach, like you're
Yeah.
in you're in flow state naturally. Because when you wake up in England and it's grey and it's raining, it's hard.
An extra
So if any content creator girl is struggling in England, listen, it's hard.
effort.
So this is why it's really important to, like, I was in a David Lloyd's gym yesterday,
Hmm.
and haven't been to one before. Like, my gym's like just regular gym. And I went to meet one of my clients. She's amazing. Went to meet her and she took me to her David Lloyd's gym in London. Everyone was so friendly. Like, every single person, the clean, everybody was so friendly, stopped to talk to me. Hi, this is my friend Lydia. And I was like, hi.
Oh,
Like, I've never met so many people in a gym before. Hi.
so nice.
And we sat there, and yeah, it was lovely. I just had the real pinch me day, because I sat there thinking, my business is making money right now. I'm sat in a spa, and I feel like I could sit here all day and create content. I just like, your environment is so important.
Hmm.
I've come home today, and like, I'm not having a creative content day anyway, but it would be harder for me to sit down and make content today.
Hmm.
So it doesn't just have to be your home life. Like, get yourself in surroundings that inspire you. Get yourself around people who inspire you. Stop listening to sad songs about how someone's broke up and they're crying over their boyfriend. If you want to manifest love, stop listening to songs about being young, dumb, and broke. If you want to manifest money, like, your environment is not just your physical surroundings, it's everything you're cultivating.
Hmm.
And just try and tap into that energy. Like, before, manifesting the car I want, I'm making my car now, which does have duct tape on the outside, but at the inside, I'm like, right, my car's called Stormzy. I'm like, right, Stormzy, we're going to make you feel bougie. Because before I was trying to manifest a new car, I wasn't looking after Stormzy. I was being bad for the universe. I'm like, universe, I'm going to show you that I'm looking after Stormzy. She's going to go to a new home. I don't know why Stormzy's a girl. But I was like trying to make it feel luxury inside that car, because I'm like, if I'm not going to look after this car, why am I manifesting a new car?
Hmm.
And then even like my home life now, like, you can see
It's
my aesthetic
beautiful.
Christmas tree. I've got a cinema sofa now, and it sounds really stupid, but the sofas I had before, I couldn't really. I'm only 5'2", so for me to not fit on a sofa, it's a small sofa. And I had two of them, and then when I manifested, I keep saying manifested my boyfriend. When I met Brad, we both did. We don't really. I mean, we both don't really fit on it, and it was just so, like, the environment in the house. I didn't want to. I didn't want to sit in the living room and chill.
Hmm.
And now it's like I don't want to leave the house,
Hmm.
and I feel like I can put a camera on today, and like, I know I've just gone against what I said earlier about not been wanting to make content today, but I've got the aesthetics, and I'm feeling like, okay, I could set my camera up now and my background's going to help me. So, and before that I did it upstairs. And I guess, especially with, oh, sorry, I'm rambling, especially on your in your bedroom, like, invest in bed sheets. They don't have to be expensive. You can go B&M. Like, it doesn't. And my bed sheets are B&M. Like, it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
these massive upgrades. You don't have to go and buy a Ferrari tomorrow. You don't have to buy a Birkin. Like, one thing I used to do when I was manifesting money, this was years ago, years and years ago. I used to go to Primark and I used to buy myself perfume, like the cheap perfumes, because perfume for me is like a real feminine
Mhm.
luxury experience. And I was like, I can't afford the perfumes I want right now, but I can do something. I can make myself feel sexy and feminine in a different way. And so whenever my clients want to manifest money, I'm like, upgrade your sock drawer, upgrade your knicker drawer, go get yourself some perfumes, like, do things that are cultivating that environment all around you. Like, I'm talking socks, everything. Any little way you can add to your environment, even if it's just adding fairy lights in your bedroom and making it feel a little bit magical,
Mhm.
it really has such a difference.
Yeah, I honestly,
And if you can get yourself to Thailand and go traveling or go somewhere else, do that.
yeah,
If you have the means right now. If not, vision board it. Honestly, this time last year, I was on Pinterest like this, just
yeah,
staring. I was creating that environment within my mind first, so then it would be my life
yeah.
last year.
I think as well, just coming back to different stages, like for me, like 2 years ago before I went traveling for the first time, I was big on my manifesting, big on like going for it. And then I went away and then I spent a year like going hard building my business. And like now feel like the last 2 months, it's been exciting again, like reflecting,
Yeah.
like looking at, okay, well, what do I really want in the next chapter? Like when you're someone that's serving other people and you're running your business, it's easy for you to let yourself concept or yourself slip into these habits. So it's just the perfect example. Like, what can you upgrade? And I just love all of that. And like, you really take people on a journey, and you took us there on a journey of like, what can
It's
you
because
do?
I'm a yapper.
Yeah, I love it. I'm a yapper too, honestly. My name should be Yasmin the Yapper. I literally don't stop. But like even on the 50th podcast episode, I told everyone the story of how I decided to start a podcast was because I was on mushrooms in Thailand and I
I love mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I don't care if this is on the podcast. I'm
no,
very open and honest about it. I
yeah.
love them.
And it was
They
so
changed my life.
funny.
I love having mushrooms and sitting watching Shark Tale.
Oh my gosh, that's
Feels
so
like there's an aquarium in the living room.
chilling.
It's great.
But honestly, like just being open minded has just done so much for
Yeah.
me in life. That sounds like
I actually might just add in a little note. This is what really changed my mental health as well, was microdosing.
yeah.
And I use a brand called Mindworks. I'm just gonna give them a shout out because I fucking love them.
Ooh.
And I started taking them 6 months after my best friend died, and they really helped me with the grieving process. They helped me level out my moods. I was heading to the doctors before that. I was like, something's not right. And even before I was grieving, like, there was something that was just very up and then very down. And microdosing, and if nobody knows what microdosing is, it is mushrooms, but it's the extract out of them, so you're not going to sit there getting high every morning.
Mhm.
But that really, really changed my mental health. I think mushrooms are a really powerful natural plant medicine if you want to dive into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone's like wondering, look into it because it's really powerful. The brand is called
Mine work.
Mindworks.
They sound amazing. So I just feel like
Mm.
I think as well, just as a girl perspective, contraception. There's been so or just different things, so many struggles for girls that they're trying to live this normal life, and there's just so many elements that take us away from ourselves,
Yeah,
hormones, different things. And I see a lot of girls in their 20s and 30s that just want to feel like themselves again and just want to
yeah,
find happiness and things to not be so hard. And I do think
yeah.
like things like mushrooms and things like that, if it feels good, like that's amazing that there is a brand out there that you can, I assume you can purchase online and give.
They're on Instagram, so if you search them on Instagram, Mindworks. I mean, you can look under go on my followers, search Mindworks. But they're called Mindworks Macro, Mindworks Micro.
Yeah. Okay. We'll put
Yeah,
it in the
I can give you a link if you want to put it under the podcast notes.
amazing.
But they're a really and I've been using them for over 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and I love them.
Honestly, I just love how honest you are as well, because I think sometimes in this world things can be quite filtered, and I've been really honest on here throughout the year. To be honest, I'm
Yeah,
just like the more I share, the more people can relate to and help with.
yeah. And I think as well, I mean, I get it. I used to get it more back in the day, like 8 years ago. I'd get comments like, "Oh, she swears. You swear like a sailor," and I'm like, because if I think about having to filter myself down, the message isn't going to come across. 'Cause instead of thinking about what I want to say and just letting it ramble on, I'm thinking, oh, did I swear? Did I do this? This is why I don't cut my bloopers out of my TikToks. I can't be arsed. I'd rather you just see
Yeah.
like how somebody actually records a video rather than, oh no, I need to edit that bit out. I need to do that again. That's not scripted perfectly.
Hmm.
And I think the more real the world is, because it's not real, like Instagram's not real, none of it's real. Like
Hmm.
it's what we curate and put online. I think the more real we can be in those spaces, the more it gives cheap people a chance to breathe, especially business
Yeah.
owners. I think, like you said, like you were saying earlier, like we see people online and we're like, oh my God, they've got this and they're doing that and they're doing so much better than me. And it's like, I'll tell you if I was crying yesterday or if I had a bad week last week, like, because I need you to know that we're humans, we're not self-service checkouts, and
Yeah.
we're going to experience all those emotions. And the more somebody can turn up and say that, I think it just gives you the peace to kind of think, oh, I'm all right. There's nothing wrong with me.
Fuck yeah to that. I was honestly like, just everything you said reminded me of something I've been working through with a lot of people and myself, is this good girl box. Like, when I say those words, the good girl box.
I don't even know what you're about to say, but I just know what you're about to say, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I feel like we're like connected right now in some shape or form with our names and
Yeah.
our stories and everything that's come up. But the good girl box, I keep seeing this and like just not seeing it, but everything I do and see around me, it's like we just keep putting ourselves in this box. How do you feel
Hmm.
like people can break out of that box?
I'm very lucky because when I've got like my mum and dad, like they used to organise the raves in the 90s and they were like little raver babies in the 80s and the 90s.
Love it.
And so I have a very anti-establishment household anyway. So when I was like going to do a season at 30, my mum and dad were like, you best fucking go. Like you need to get to a season. I know so many of my friends' parents, their mums and dads, they would have been horrified at that. So I'm really lucky. I generally have quite an anti-establishment like sense of life anyway.
Yeah.
But you just have to remember the people that are judging you, the people who are telling you to fit in this good girl box, they're not paying your bills.
Hmm.
Like they're not unless somebody has a life that you are genuinely envious of, don't listen to them. Like we are so conditioned to be this good girl and do what society says and don't do this and do that and take you better, and it's just noise.
Hmm.
And we have to be the ones to break that train, and you can do that in the littlest of rebellious ways every single day, and just start small. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow,
Yeah.
but just start. Do you know what? Big one, say no to people.
Hmm.
Like I learned years ago, it was from well, I think it was from the first coaching program I took, and it was like, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Hmm.
There's little things like the food shop. I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean the house.
Hmm.
I don't want. In fact, that's what I was thinking today. I was like, I'm getting a cleaner this year. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
But apart from like the everyday errands that you have to do, I don't do anything I don't want to do. I don't, and that made me probably a little bit of a black sheep sometimes because oh, maybe she's a bit rude or maybe she. No, I'm just not doing it. I'm not interested. If it's not benefiting me or my friends around me, and if it's going to make me feel like shit, I'm definitely not doing it.
Hmm.
And so I think just saying no to things is, and I watched this really amazing TikTok the other day, and it was Samantha off Sex and the City. Is it Kim I want to say Kim Jones, but it's Samantha Jones, Kim Cattrall. I was like mind blank then. She was talking about the power of saying no,
Yeah.
and she was saying like, no, I will not go to your hotel room to do a audition. No, I will not do this. And I was like, yes, this is why we all love you.
Yeah.
So just saying no to things you don't want to do is probably the first way you can start to break that good girlness, because that is giving yourself the power back. And I think we're so taught to be people pleasers and don't rock the boat. And there's also a big one, which is keeping the peace for them is disturbing it within you.
Mm.
And I'm not saying go around there starting fires and like starting arguments with everybody in your life, but you have to be really mindful of like what your boundaries or lack of boundaries are doing for your soul and what they're doing for you. So just start saying no to people or saying yes.
Mhm.
Start saying yes to life, like moving to Thailand, like start saying yes to the things you genuinely want to do, and stop pretending like you don't have these big goals and dreams and desires.
That was literally the perfect answer. I was saying this to my friend yesterday of like, girl, you need to start saying fuck yeah or no. Like,
Yeah.
do you really want? And even for me, like, I come from such like people pleasing background, and this year, like, absolutely fucked that off. Like, absolutely, it is. easier said than done, but each time you do something for you, it feels amazing. I got my third ears pierced the other day. I was sat in
I love that.
I was sat in Claire's accessories. It was so funny. They were like, right, we usually have the babies in. I was like, yeah, I'm here, do it. But like, it's just little stages of things. Like, for ages, I thought I had to be, the clean girl aesthetic and all of that. But I also just think, like, what do you really want to do? I guarantee most of the time in Thailand, I'm just going to have my crazy curly hair, just be wearing
Yeah,
bikinis
£100%.
barefoot, and that makes me feel alive. So you can have different chapters, different versions of you, but what matters is, like, what do you want? Stop living. And
Yeah,
when you were saying there, like, the good girls now, what is that going to make you when you're 60? That, like, use that to scare
bored,
you.
bored. It's
Bored.
gonna make you bored.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you bored. It's
Hmm.
gonna make you really depressed. It's probably gonna make you lonely. Because I think as well, like being a good girl, it keeps friends around you that aren't necessarily in alignment anymore. And it keeps people like not just friends, bosses, people, boyfriends, like even, like it just there's so many things that it affects trying to be the good girl.
Hmm.
And it affects you the most.
Hmm.
And I think it's like this. I have this. It's like, oh, if I'm not good enough, this is going to happen. Nothing bad's going to happen. We're adults. No one's telling you off. No one's going to tell you off. You're an adult.
Mhm.
You can do whatever you want. Like, you're
It's just good
fine.
to have these reminders though, isn't it? Because I think people
Yeah.
actually
And even I
yeah.
need them sometimes. I'm not going to sit here like on my high horse. Like, I feel amazing 24/7. I had like a little violin moment on Wednesday. And I was like, I've got no friends. It's Christmas. I've got no plans. And then
Love
I was like, just
them.
text your mate. I was like, Lydia, just text your mates and organise stuff. Like, what you on about? Do you know what I mean? So even my mind's so stupid. You just need to like bring it back all the time, or like have people or podcasts like this, or you
Mhm.
know, try and call. This is again with the energy and the environment. Try and do things that keep you reminded of why it's good to not be a good girl all the time.
Yeah, 100%. I just think that's one of the biggest things I'm noticing is just everyone feeling scared to do something different or like go against the norm or like even in their businesses post that thing that they think might piss some people off. It's like, well, who cares? Like the people that
Yeah.
you want are going to actually enjoy it. So I just love that. I feel like this episode you've given so much like knowledge, but it's just I feel like this has been one of my favorite episodes. It's just been so
Oh, I love
fun.
that. I've loved doing it as well.
Yeah, I feel like we're just it's been the best vibes. Did you have any last words for the podcast or anyone listening at all?
I just wanted to add on to what we were just
Yeah,
saying. I think we're hyper aware and we're more. It's really funny because, like I was saying, like 8 years ago,
yeah.
I was ballsy. I was showing up all the time.
Mhm.
I feel like I think about it more now, but I think that's because we are just inundated with TikToks and reels and videos and there's content like we are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So my biggest advice to business owners: turn your phone off.
Mhm.
Like turn your phone off. Get like try and escape the online world as much as you can, because then you're not going to be as scared because you're not watch the more you watch sit there and don't get me wrong, I'm a scroller. I love TikTok. Could easily spend 5 hours on it a day. But what I found was the more I was consuming, the more I was thinking about how people would view me. Whereas if you take yourself out of that, you're not going to think about it as much.
Yeah.
You're not going to worry about how you're showing up if you're just showing up for you, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. That's what
Yeah.
that's what helped me. I just wanted to add that onto that
No,
little point.
honestly,
Um
100%. Like my biggest thing at the moment is the law of detachment. Like I've had to just detach from everything that
yeah.
my self-worth was sort of clinging on to with clients, with like social media, because when you've been pumping so much, your self-worth dies.
Yeah.
Whether you could be the most like detached person, but if you're pumping into something
Mhm.
24/7, you're gonna attach your self-worth. So
Yeah, you're gonna start like reeling,
yeah.
creating, not even creating. You're gonna start gathering validation out of like, oh my god, my reel didn't do well today.
Mhm.
What's wrong with this one? Da, da, da. No, maybe people just aren't on their phones. Maybe it's Christmas. Maybe they got a life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Fucking
mean?
life. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
get a fucking
Law of
life. That's my biggest
attraction.
advice for 2025. Actually, I can't believe I didn't drop that line when you asked me that. Get a fucking life, babe. That's my biggest piece of what's. I forgot my entire tagline.
Okay, round two. What's your biggest what's your biggest
Get a
advice
fucking
for
life, babe.
2025?
Get a fucking life, babe. Go towards life. Like, just grab it by the balls. Just do everything. No, actually, I want to take that back. Grab it by the horns. It's not balls, is it?
Woo!
I've been speaking for an hour. I'm tongue tied. I'm confused.
Honestly.
Yeah, just grab life with everything you've got because you only get one. Like I said, I've got 2 tattoos. They're in honor of my best friend who died a few years ago.
Mm.
Like, life is very fickle. It's very short. Like, it's very gone in a minute. So, and in fact, I've got a funeral in a few weeks of a friend. So, like, life is very, 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 very short.
Mhm.
And I think I'm hyper aware of it for obvious reasons. But that's why I want to pass on the message. Like, you really just need to get a life, because it's over so fast. And what you do in between now and then is so important, and you matter. So, like, act like it.
Act like it. Go shake boots.
Act like
Go
it.
have fun.
Get a life.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I will leave all of Lydia's links and her self concept challenge below, because I just really highly recommend it for everyone. Like, just getting yourself out of a rut, just giving yourself 2 weeks. I think of it as a gift to yourself. Like, gift yourself 2 weeks
100%.
to really change your life. So, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode on the Your Girl Yaz podcast. We'll be back next Wednesday at 7 a.m. UK time, so I look forward to seeing you back here. I also have a free higher self meditation course for you to learn to meditate, to relax, to switch off, that's available for you to access now in the show notes. And also, don't forget to follow the podcast wherever you're listening, rate, leave us a review. I appreciate it way more than you could ever know. Thank you so much again for listening. If you've got any feedback of the podcast, my Instagram at Yasmin Lily Hilston is also linked in the show notes, and I really appreciate it.